Good afternoon. So let's start with the first topic for your midterm in CD radio. Okay, so we're going to discuss the introduction to pulmonary imaging. So we have here your chest radiology. So for the objectives of this topic, so you have to learn about the different imaging modalities used for the assessment of the chest, and to differentiate the pulmonary opacities versus your pulmonary lucencies, as well as the pattern in each disease entity. So please take note that pulmonary opacities is a different entity from your lucencies. So they are different in all aspects. So kapag sinabi natin opacity, that's increased whiteness, no? And then lucency, it is more on the dark. So as a review, we have the 5 basic radiographic densities. I know paulit-ulit na to sa inyo and alam nyo na yan. We have the air density, the fat density, soft tissue density, the bone density, and the metal or conscious density. So you know now the differences of this, their appearance in your x-ray, no? So yung air natin, of course, yung lung parenchyma, it is filled with air, so that's our air density. Yung fat, so that's our subcutaneous fat, subcutaneous tissue, that's your fat density. Soft tissue density, the best example in this image is your heart, okay, the cardiac. The bone density, of course, your bone, the ribs, scapula, the clavicle, the vertebra, and then the metal density, the example here is your pacemaker. And in the presence of contrast or post-contrast imaging, so you will see that the contrast density is almost the same with your metal density. So that's your metal or contrast density. Then let's move on to your conventional chest radiography. The posterior-anterior or your PA view and lateral chest radiographs are the mainstays of thoracic imaging. The initial imaging study in patients with thoracic disease, and the focus to film distance is 6 feet. Okay, so the focus to film distance in your thoracic or chest imaging is 6 feet to prevent magnification of the heart. So we have the portable radiograph. This is very, very useful nowadays, especially this pandemic, pandemic season. So the portable radiograph is being used in those patients that are not allowed to enter the emergency room or are not allowed to go to the X-ray room to have X-ray. Okay, so the portable radiograph is being done or being used for patients who are very ill, the elderly patients, the bedridden patients, severely injured patients, okay? So that's the use of the portable radiograph. So portable meaning you can bring it everywhere around the hospital. Okay, you can bring it in the ward or in the COVID facility. You can bring it outside the emergency room. Okay, so that's it, your portable radiograph. And if you use the portable radiograph, usually you will just take an AP view of the X-ray. It's either sitting or supine. The focus to film distance is 40 inches for your portable radiograph in comparison to your conventional or your standard PE and lateral, which is 6 feet. For this one, this is 40 inches. Ibig sabihin, mas malapit ito, 40 inches. So, magkakaroon ng technical and patient-related compromises. Technical because hindi siya ganun kaganda, katulad ng ating standard radiograph, yung ating X-ray talaga na ginagamit sa ating X-ray room. May mga technical and patient-related compromises involved in your portable radiograph. Although it is still useful, syempre, it is still useful, your portable radiograph. Here is an example of supine EP chest radiograph. So, if you have a supine EP chest radiograph, it requires longer exposures to penetrate cardiomyocytinal structures. There's magnification of intrathoracic structures, of course, nagkakaroon ng, especially your heart, no? Nagkakaroon, nagiging magnified yan, and there's widening of the upper mediastinum. And then there's normal gravitational effect. So this is the difference between your PA and AP view of the chest. So paulit-ulit lang to, no? So yung PA view, yung ribs ng PA view is angulated. Okay, there is angulation, while your AP, it is more straighter. Okay, mas straight yung ating AP. So, by eyeballing, alam natin kung alin yung AP and PA view, di ba? So, ang PA view, ang ganda ng image niya. Okay, wala tayong mga magnification like this one. Walang widening ng upper mediastinum like this one. And then the clavicle sa ating PA, it is V-shaped, while this one in AP, it is horizontal. Okay? And scapula, usually kapag PA winged out yan kasi nakaposisyon ng maayos. Okay? Naka-winged out yung scapula niyan. While in AP view, there is no winging. There is a superimposition of the medial border of the clavicle to the area of the lungs. Okay? Kung merong infiltrates dyan, pwedeng maging isipin natin na baka hindi totoo or pwedeng totoo yung infiltrates. Mahirap kasi merong superimposition. Okay, so sa heart, sa PA view, it is not magnified. This is the normal size of the heart of the patient. And in EP view, pwedeng maging magnified. Hindi natin masasabi agad na this is really a cardiac enlargement because sometimes baka magnified lang yung heart because of the position of the patient. And then in PA view, usually you will see gastric bubble just below the left hemidiaphragm in here. And in your AP view, usually absent ang ating gastric bubble. Okay, so that's a note and study the differences between these two. So in your normal chest x-ray, PA view, this is how your well-exposed frontal view of the normal chest x-ray looked like. So this anatomy, right and left lung, the pulmonary blood vessels, the right hilum, the left hilum. Okay, so the cardiophrenic angle, right and left, the costophrenic angle, right and left, the right hemidiaphragm, the left hemidiaphragm, the vertebra, okay, the aortic knob. Okay, so these are the important structures in your normal chest x-ray. So dapat, this is the the breast shadow, okay, the right and left breast shadow. Okay, so kung mapapansin natin, may increase opacification sa area kasi nga breast shadow yan eh. So minsan, nagiging, nagda-doubt kasi breast shadow lang kaya siya or talagang meron siyang infiltrates or pneumonia. So history will help you a lot. Okay, so in here, so this one down, notice that how the spine is just visible through the heart shadow. Both the right and left lateral costophrenic angles here are sharp. Okay, and acutely angled. The white line, okay, demarcates the approximate level of your minor or horizontal fissure, which is usually visible in the frontal view. Okay, yung ating minor fissure or horizontal. There's no minor fissure on the left side. Of course, you know that. The white circle, it contains lung markings that are blood vessels. Note that the left hilum is normally slightly higher than the right. So, okay, so the left hilum is slightly higher than the right. The white, this one lies on the posterior third rib and the back 3 lies on the anterior third rib. Okay, so this one, itong mga nakikita natin silang nagko-connect dito sa vertebra. So that's your posterior. Okay, that's your posterior rib. Yung mga area like this one, na hindi natin nakikitang kumo-connect dito sa area ng vertebra, yun yung ating anterior ribs. Okay, but itong mga nakikita natin, that's your posterior ribs. Yung mga hindi natin nakikitang nagko-connect, that's your anterior rib. So in your normal left lateral chest radiograph, so there is a clear space behind the sternum like this one. The hilum produce no discrete shadowing. This is the area of the hilum. The vertebral bodies are approximately equal in height, ayan, at all levels, and their plates are parallel to each other. The posterior costophrenic angles are sharp. Notice how the thoracic spine appears to become darker. So, di ba from here, para maputi pa siya, but as you go inferiorly, nagiging dark yung area ng ating thoracic spine. The heart normally touches the anterior aspect of the left hemidiaphragm and usually obscures silhouettes it. So this is the area of the left hemidiaphragm na obscure ng heart shadow. The superior surface of the right hemidiaphragm is frequently seen continuously from back to front. Okay, so yung ating yung side na na-obliterate ng ating heart, so that's your left hemidiaphragm. But yung continuously hanggang dun sa anterior portion, that's your right hemidiaphragm, sorry. Notice the normal space posterior to the heart and anterior to the spine. So ito siya. So you can see it is lucent, no? So that's the normal appearance and dapat hindi siya dumidikit sa ating vertebra. Kasi kapag nakita natin siya in lateral view na dumidikit, nagdidikit itong posterior pericardium dun sa area ng spine, it may be an indicative of cardiomegaly or cardiac enlargement. Now, the black line represents your major or oblique fissure. Okay, so ito yung ating minor, ito yung oblique major fissure. Okay, so both are frequently visible because they are seen on a lateral view radiograph. So this approximately, this is the area of your minor fissure in the right, and this is your oblique or major fissure. So this is the normal left lateral chest radiograph. So why do we need to look at the lateral chest? Why do we need to look at the lateral? Why not PA view only? So it can help you determine the location of disease you already identified as being present in the frontal image. And it can confirm the presence of disease you may be unsure of on the basis of frontal image alone, such as AMAS or pneumonia. So for example, you in your PA X-ray, so there's a soft tissue mass in this area in the left lower lobe. But if you will only see, or if you will only request for a PA view, you will just say that there is a soft tissue mass density in the right lower lobe, measuring ganyan. Okay, so you will just say that it is in the right, but you can't identify if it's anterior or posterior. But if you will request for a lateral, you will see if it's anterior or posteriorly located. Okay, so that's a very important. Another example, if there is a foreign body, for example, sa ating or a bullet, for example, na gunshot wound, dumating sa ER, gunshot wound. So in our X-ray, no? In our X-ray, nakita natin yung foreign body, yung bullet, sa left. So, paano natin masasabi if it's okay, so we saw the bullet or the foreign body in the left lung or in the left part of the thorax. But we can say if it's anterior or posteriorly located. But if you request for a lateral view, we can see the specific location of the bullet if it's anterior or posteriorly located. Okay, so that's the importance of your lateral view. Okay, so this is an example of your frontal and your lateral. So this demonstrates an airspace disease on the lateral image in the left lower lobe, which is not that apparent or clearly seen in the frontal image. But if you look closely, there is an increased opacity in this area of the retrocardiac region, left lower lobe. Okay, you will confirm this in your lateral view. So as you can see, di ba dapat from here, mas maputi yung ating thoracic spine, but as it go inferiorly, mas dark siya. But in this area, nagkaroon din ng opacification. So this confirmed that the opacity or infiltrates in this left lower lobe is real. And this is maybe pneumonia. Okay, so this is how your lateral will help you in the diagnosis. Okay, so if you will just look at the frontal image, you will just say there's a suspicious density, probably consider pneumonia in the left lower lobe. But if you already have this lateral view for confirmatory of the opacity or the pneumonia, so you can now say that this is really a pneumonia. And then again, another point, I said earlier that there is in this area dapat lucent lang siya, but this one there is opacification between the posterior pericardium and the spine. Okay, so this is not normal. This is an infiltrates in the posterior cardiac region. Okay, so this is an example of your pneumonia in the left lower lobe. So what are the special techniques in your chest radiograph? So we have the lateral decubitus. Please take note that your lateral decubitus is different from your lateral chest X-ray. They are different. The expiratory radiograph, the apical lordotic view, which is I know more familiar for you, and chest fluoroscopy. So let's differentiate these four special techniques. First is your lateral decubitus. So in this image, your chest AP, there is obliteration of your right hemidiaphragm with increased opacification of the right lower lobe. So it may be an indicative of your pleural effusion or mass lesion. Okay, so in this area, there's increased opacity. You know this is not normal. There's obliteration of the right hemidiaphragm. So there's an underlying pathology in here. And as you can see in here, the minor fissure is thickened. The minor fissure is thickened, indicative of pleural effusion. So for your lateral decubitus, to confirm that this is a fluid and not a mass, you will request for a lateral decubitus. So after the right lateral decubitus of the patient, of course, kung nasan yung ating pathology, dun siya tatagilid or dun yung patient lateral. Okay, so right, nasa right yung ating pathology, yung ating gustong ma-confirm if this is a fluid or mass. So after a right lateral decubitus, so the patient lied on his right. Okay, so it is being done 5 to 10 minutes, dapat nakatagilid yung patient para magbigay ng enough time para sa air fluid leveling if it's really an effusion or fluid. So this is how it looks like after 5 to 10 minutes of the patient position being in right lateral decubitus. So in here, nagkaroon ng air fluid leveling. So this confirmed that this is a pleural effusion and not a mass. Kasi kung mass yan, hindi siya magpuproduce ng air fluid leveling. It will appear as is like this chest AP. Okay, hindi siya mag-move kung totoo siyang mass. Okay, so that's the difference. So it is used to detect small effusions or pneumothorax. Next is the expiratory radiograph. For this expiratory radiograph, this is also a special technique. So this one naman is being done not in the usual hinga po ng malalim hold and then isushoot nung Radtech. So it's not like that. So the expiratory radiograph, it is for the detection of pneumothorax. Okay, the patient will do a maximal forced expiration and then the Radtech will shoot the X-ray. So that's your expiratory radiograph. Mag-instruct yung Radtech to, at the end of maximal forced expiration of the patient, that's the time na mag-shoot yung X-ray. Okay, so this is for the detection of small pneumothorax. So for this area, there is a lucency. Okay, increased lucency in the right upper lobe with devoid of lung markings. Okay, so this is an example of your pneumothorax. So the other image is a much larger percentage of pneumothorax in the right upper lobe. As you can see, this is the area of the lung. Na-push yung area ng lung parenchyma because of the air. Okay, in the pleura. Okay, so this is an example of your pneumothorax. Next is the apical lordotic view. So you are more familiar with this one. It is being done for those patients with suspicious infiltrates in the upper lobes. Okay, so this is a caudocipalad angulation of the tube, projects the clavicles and first costochondral junction superiorly, providing an unimpeded view of the apices. So if in case in chest PA, there are suspicious infiltrates in both upper lobes, or sometimes in right only, or sometimes in left only. So apical lordotic view is being requested by the radiologist to confirm the presence or absence of the infiltrates. Kasi sometimes baka bone lang siya na may increased na opacity, hindi talaga siya totoong infiltrate or TB. Most probably kasi 'di ba kapag right upper lobe, TB yung usually na pathology sa area na yan. So after apical lordotic view, so the first costochondral junction and the area of the clavicle is moved superiorly. So na-moved out sila sa area ng apices. So it will confirm that there is no infiltrates or no pathology in the both upper lobes. Okay, so that's your apical lordotic view. Next is the chest fluoroscopy. For the chest fluoroscopy, again, this is real time. There is continuous production of X-ray as we go, as we are doing the procedure. So it used to assess chest dynamics on patients with suspected diaphragmatic paralysis. So in case you are suspecting diaphragmatic paralysis, so in damage sa ating phrenic nerve as the motor supply of the diaphragm, so we can assess it in your chest fluoroscopy because in here we can see real time the contraction of the heart and also the movement of the diaphragm of both hemidiaphragm. Okay, so next is that CT scan. By convention, CT scan of the chest, like most other radiologic studies, are viewed with the patient's right on your left and the patient's left on your right. So that's what we call the radiologic right and radiologic left. Okay, so always remember that when you are looking at a radiograph, you always imagine that you are talking to the patient. Your left is the patient's right and your right is the patient's left. Okay, and then if the patient is scanned in the supine position, as most usually are, the top of each image is anterior and the bottom of each image is posterior. Always ganun yan. Yung top is the anterior portion and the bottom is the posterior portion. In your abdomen, so hindi naman na tayo malilito kasi kapag nakita natin yung vertebra, so alam natin na that's the posterior part of the patient. Okay, a chest CT scan makes use of X-rays. However, a CT scan's images show more detail than pictures from a standard chest X-ray. So the CT scan and X-ray uses radiation, but you will have a better picture or more detail in your CT scan because it produces cross-sectional images, unlike your standard chest X-ray. CT scans are usually windowed and displayed in at least 2 formats designed to be viewed as parts of the same study to optimize anatomic definition. And in CT scan, we have this window width and window level. So yung ating window width, by definition, it is the measure of the range of CT numbers that an image contains. While on the other hand, your window level, it is the midpoint of the range of the CT numbers displayed. So just know the definition of these two, width and level. So the long window, so here is an example of the axial CT scan in long window. So if you are looking for a tumor mass nodules, okay, in your chest area, so we use the long window. It has a window width of 1,000 to 2,000 Hounsfield unit and window level of about 500 to 600 Hounsfield unit. It is chosen to maximize the ability to image abnormalities of the lung parenchyma and to identify normal and abnormal bronchial anatomy. So, di ba? Sa ating long window, mas makikita natin yung mga nodules dyan and tumors, if ever there's presence. The mediastinal structures usually appear as homogeneous white density on long window. Puti yung ating mediastinal structures. Like this one, this is the cardiac region. Then, the mediastinal window. So, for this one naman, yung window width niya is 400, yung level niya is 40. It is chosen to display the mediastinal, hilar, and pleural structures to best advantage. And in here, in your mediastinal window, the lung parenchyma appears black. So you will focus in the mediastinum area. And in the bone window, same sila ng ating mediastinal window. But this one appears black din yung ating both lung parenchyma. But in this bone window, it is better. It is used for the assessment of the bone, especially in those lytic changes or in the cases of trauma, yung fracture. So, mas kita siya sa ating bone window. Okay, so ito yung focus ng ating bone window. Siyempre, yung bone area. And in cases of metastasis to the bone, you will see lytic changes in your bone window. But then again, same sila ng mediastinal window na yung lung appears black. Then we have also this high-resolution CT scan of the lung. So ito naman, it involves incremental thinly collimated scans obtained at evenly spaced intervals through the thorax. So yung slices niya mas maninipis, 1 to 1.5 millimeters kapag high-resolution CT scan. Image acquisition time is limited to minimize the effects of respiratory and cardiac motion. So what are the advantages of your CT scan? So superior contrast resolution and cross-sectional display format. Superior contrast resolution allows the differentiation of your calcium, soft tissue, and fat within the lung nodules or mediastinal structures. So this will help you differentiate these important findings. If it's calcium, if it's calcification, if it's really a soft tissue mass or fat within the lung nodules. And then intravenous enhancement, this is post-contrast study to improve contrast within structures or masses as well as within blood vessels. Okay, so we usually request for a contrast enhanced study if we are entertaining malignancy, if we are looking for mass or tumor. Kasi usually what is the one of the characteristic of malignant tumors is the angiogenesis. Yung, di ba, nakakapag matalino yung tumor, yung malignant tumor, nakakapaggawa siya ng way to supply blood to the lesion or to the mass. So characteristic yan ng malignancy, no? So kapag nag-inject ka ng contrast, iilaw yan or mag-e-enhance. Ibig sabihin may blood vessel yan. Okay, may blood vessel yung tumor. Nagkakaroon siya ng sarili niyang blood supply kasi nga matalino siya. Yung mga malignant features. Matalino yung tumor na yan, so mag-produce siya ng sarili niyang blood supply, no? So after contrast injection, mag-e-enhance yan. So that means that meron siyang sariling blood supply. And that is one of the features of your malignancy. So most probably, dun ka mag-iisip na this is a malignant tumor rather than benign. Kapag hindi yan nag-enhance, onti lang enhancement niyan, so most probably nasa benign part ka. Or kapag talagang wala siyang enhancement, so baka benign siya, benign. Okay? Unless unlike kapag nag-conscious or talagang nag-enhance yung buong tumor, most probably that's a malignant tumor. So what are the indications for your thoracic CT scan? So the indications are as follows. Evaluation of an abnormality identified on conventional radiographs. Staging of lung cancer, so CT scan talaga siya. Detection of occult pulmonary metastasis, detection of mediastinal nodes, empyema from lung abscess, pulmonary embolism, detection and evaluation of the aortic disease such as your aneurysm, intramural hematoma aortitis, trauma, dissection. Okay? So these are the indication for you to request thoracic CT scan. So, IV thorax contrast, so it has the highest intrinsic contrast of any body part, yung ating thorax. The pulmonary vessels and ribs have markedly different densities than the adjacent lung parenchyma. Although no specific patient preparation is necessary for thoracic CT imaging, prior restriction of oral intake is preferred to decrease the risk of aspiration if vomiting does occur. So if you're already clinicians, you know that if you will request for a contrast study, you will order for fasting. Okay, dapat yung patient walang recent oral intake kahit water because we never know what's the reaction of the patient to after injection of contrast. Pwedeng mag-vomit yan and it will, kapag marami yan kinain or maraming ininom prior to the procedure, it will produce aspiration. Okay, magkakaroon ng aspiration. If severe yung vomiting, it will cause death to the patient. So that's very important. So kapag dinanong nyo, bakit ba kailangan ng fasting sa contrast? So alam nyo na yung answer, no? So to prevent aspiration, decrease the risk of aspiration. Kasi kapag binigyan nyo yan ng contrast, busog na busog yan, kakainom lang yan ng tubig. Kapag nag-vomit yan as parang reaction to your contrast, so pwedeng mag-aspirate yung patient and magkaroon ng mas severe na complication and even death. Okay, so that's very important. And then venous catheter of sufficient caliber to accommodate this desired injection rate should be placed. So yan yung ating catheter para sa ating route ng ating contrast. So the use of intravenous contrast material becomes necessary in the following situations. So why are we requesting? So insufficient mediastinal fat making identification of normal structures difficult, difficulty differentiating an aneurysm or vascular mass from a normal vascular structure or variant, when the particular enhancement characteristic of a mass are desired, and for the evaluation of a vascular structure. Okay, so this is an example of your axial CT scan, plain and with contrast. So this is a 33-year-old man with acute Stanford type A aortic dissection after post-contrast. Okay, so post-contrast study. So this is a plain. So in plain study, parang normal yung kanyang aorta, no? So parang walang problem. But after contrast injection, na-highlight or na-delineate yung ating intimomedial flap. Okay, yung aortic dissection. When aortic dissection is the clinical concern, IV contrast is necessary for its occlusion. Okay, so ibang-iba, di ba? Kapag may contrast, mas nakita yung problem. Okay? Next is the chest MRI. It is a morphologic studies usually require only spin echo T1 and T2 sequences. So that's the important sequences in your chest MRI in your axial plane. The major advantages of MRI are superior contrast resolution between the tumor and the fat, ability to characterize tissues based on T1 and T2 relaxation times, the ability to scan in direct sagittal and coronal planes, the lack of need for IV iodinated contrast. So, hindi natin kailangan ng iodinated contrast sa ating MRI because we are using gadolinium-based contrast. Okay, itong iodinated, ito ay sa ating CT scan. So it is superior to CT scan in the diagnosis of chest wall or mediastinal invasion. The major disadvantages of your thoracic MR scanning are limited spatial resolution, inability to detect calcium, and the difficulties in imaging the pulmonary parenchyma. Kasi for the calcium, yung mga calcification, you better request CT scan. Mas maganda yung CT scan for the detection of calcification. And difficulties in imaging the pulmonary parenchyma. Mas maganda pa rin yung CT scan for the imaging of the pulmonary parenchyma. It is more time consuming because it has a longer procedure time. Okay, mas matagal to. Minsan umaabot to ng oras, not just minutes, oras talaga. And expensive than CT scan. The ability of CT to provide superior or equivalent information in most situations. Okay, usually mas maganda pa rin talaga yung CT sa ating chest imaging. Indications for MRI of the thorax, evaluation of aortic disease in stable patients. Why stable? In stable patients because again, it is longer time, umaabot ng oras. Kapag unstable ang patient or hindi siya cooperative, so baka hindi matapos yung procedure. Okay, dapat stable yung patient, makikiko-operate kasi mahaba yung time ng MRI. In cases of dissection, aneurysm, intramural hematoma, and aortitis. And then for the assessment of superior sulcus tumors, evaluation of the mediastinal, vascular, and chest wall invasion of the lung cancer, staging of lung cancer patients unable to receive intravenous iodinated contrast. Okay, so for the staging of lung cancer, usually you request for CT scan. But if the patient cannot receive, has contraindication to receive iodinated contrast, so your alternative is their MRI because the patient will receive your gadolinium contrast instead of your iodinated contrast. And then also for the evaluation of posterior mediastinal masses. And then the ultrasound. It is used for the detection, characterization, and sampling of your pleural, peripheral, parenchymal, and mediastinal lesions. It is also used to confirm phrenic nerve paralysis. So like your chest fluoroscopy. The difference is your chest fluoroscopy uses radiation. They are both real-time, but yung fluoroscopy uses radiation. Your ultrasound does not use radiation. And it also detects subpulmonic, subphrenic fluid collections. So in this image, this is a ultrasound of your, this is the area of your pleura. So there is effusion. Okay, this is an echoic focus. In the right, this is the liver, and this is the right hemidiaphragm. So itong anechoic focus na to, it is fluid. Okay, that's your pleural effusion in the right. And also in this area. Yung anechoic structure na yan, fluid yan. So we're done with your imaging of your chest, and we're now going to discuss your parenchymal lung disease. So far, do you have any question regarding our introduction of the chest, your radiology, yung imaging natin, before we go to the specific parenchymal lung disease? Questions?
None na po to.
Okay, so let's proceed to parenchymal lung disease. So we have the pulmonary opacity and lucency. So yung opacity, there's abnormal increase in lung density, while your lucency is abnormal decrease in lung density. Yung opacity, pumuputi, sobrang puti. Yung lucency, mas dark or mas itim. Okay, so ating first year pulmonary opacity, it can be airspace disease or interstitial disease. Kapag airspace, usually alveolar. Kapag interstitial, infiltrative. So what are the example of your airspace diseases? It can be acute and it can also be chronic. So diseases that affect the lung parenchyma can be arbitrarily divided in these two, airspace and interstitial, based in part on their pathology and in part on the pattern they typically produce in your chest imaging. Okay, so why do we have to learn the differences between the two? So while many diseases produce abnormalities that display both patterns, recognition of these patterns frequently helps to narrow the diagnosis. Okay, so that you can have reasonable differential diagnosis. Mananarrow down yung diagnosis mo kapag alam mo tong airspace and interstitial diseases pattern. So we have the acute and chronic in your airspace disease. So sa acute, there's your pneumonia, pulmonary alveolar edema, hemorrhage, aspiration, and near drowning. While in chronic, you have your bronchoalveolar CA, alveolar cell proteinosis, sarcoidosis, and lymphoma. While in your interstitial diseases, it has your pattern, the reticular, nodular, linear, reticulonodular. So yung ating reticular, usually mga interstitial edema, interstitial pneumonia, scleroderma, and sarcoid. While your nodular ay ng ating mga metastases, bronchogenic carcinoma, silicosis, miliary TB, and sarcoid. Okay, so please take note the different the classification of your parenchymal lung disease as to airspace disease and interstitial disease. So first is the airspace disease. It is developed when air normally present within the terminal spaces are replaced by material of soft tissue density. So usually, syempre, yung alveoli, di ba, dapat air lang yan, dapat lucent lang yan. Pero kapag nagkaroon ng replacement ng soft tissue density, so it may indicate infiltrates or pathology in that area. So this is an example of your normal lung. So in here, as you can see, yung lung opacification, dun lang yan sa pulmonary vascular markings, mga linear, na almost hindi na natin nakikita dito sa area na to, sa periphery. Andito lang siya mostly sa inner lung zone from the area of the hilum. Individual alveoli are too small to resolve, but together they appear radiolucent or black. But in this area, there is filling of alveoli by either your water, the blood, pus, proteinaceous fluid, or cells. And it will result to your opacity or consolidation. Okay, so if you will compare this in this normal lung, so this is an abnormal, and this is an example of your airspace disease in the right lower lobe. Or most probably, this is your pneumonia. So another example, this is a normal right lung, and this is your alveolar opacity in the right lung, which may be your pneumonia, consolidation pneumonia. What are the radiographic characteristics of airspace disease? It may be lobar or segmental distribution. They are poorly marginated. They have the tendency to coalesce. They have airspace nodules. They appear as bat swing or butterfly distribution like this one. So imagine nyo na lang, ito daw yung tinatawag na bat swing or butterfly distribution. No? So both sides of the lungs. Rapidly changing over time, and there's a presence of the air bronchogram. So ano ba yung ating air bronchogram? So yung air bronchogram, imagine the airways are not normally seen in a normal chest radiograph because they are air structure, imagine, air structure within the background of an aerated lung. So you will not expect to see this maliliit na airway sa area ng puro air din. So wala kang magwi-window sa kanila para makita mo siya. But in cases of opacification, when the aerated lung becomes opacified, the bronchi becomes visualized like this one. So, syempre, yung maliliit na yan, may lucent region siya. Kapag in the background of this maliliit na airways, nagkaroon ng opacification, maka-highlight sila. So, this is your air bronchogram. Okay, makikita mo yung air structure na yan, yung mga linear structure na, that contains air in the background of opacified part of the lung. So this is your air bronchogram. Air-filled bronchus look like radiolucent tubes like this one. But in the background of opacification, so they appear as air bronchogram. And the next is the silhouette sign. Your silhouette sign, it is the effacement of a normal structure. Intrathoracic lesion will obliterate borders of shadows of similar radiodense structures that it contacts. And airspace disease may silhouette the right heart margin with right middle lobe pneumonia, like in this example, and the diaphragm with lower lobe pneumonia. Okay, so there is silhouetting or silhouette sign. There is obliteration of the right heart shadow. Nasira na yung border ng right heart. Unlike this one, so intact yung left border, kita natin. But this one, nagkaroon ng obliteration or disruption. Okay, so it is indicative of your right middle lobe pneumonia with extension to the right lower lobe. Okay, so that's your silhouette sign. So this is your normal. So this is the area of your cardiac, and this is the area of the mediastinum. Okay, so pneumonia with negative silhouette sign. So there is a opacification in this area without obliteration or disruption of the border. While in your pneumonia with positive silhouette sign, there is obliteration of the border. Okay, so these are both pneumonia, sometimes with negative silhouette sign and with positive silhouette sign. So kapag nagkaroon ng disruption or obliteration of the border of usually the heart, so that's her positive silhouette sign, and that's her pneumonia. So in cases of silhouetting of these structures, so andito yung kanilang part ng lungs or segment ng lungs na involved. So kapag there's a silhouetting of the right diaphragm, so the right lower lobe of the basal segment of the lung is involved. Yung right heart margin, right middle lobe or the medial segment is involved. The ascending aorta, right upper lobe or anterior segment is involved. So these areas are in your right hemithorax. And at the level of the aortic knob, nasa left na tayo. Nasa left side na siya eh. So left upper lobe posterior or posterior segment naman. The left heart margin is the lingula or inferior segment. Descending aorta, left lower lobe, superior and medial segments. And if in case of the hemidiaphragm silhouette, it involves the left lower lobe or basal segments. So study and remember this silhouette and their corresponding lobe or segment. Next is the interstitial disease. So we're done with the airspace. Now we'll go to the interstitial disease. So yung ating interstitium, so ito siya from the hilum, they will go peripherally. And it will be your intralobular interstitium, centrilobular, interlobular septa, subdural interstitium. And this interstitial disease will produce by processes that thicken the interstitial compartments of the lung with your water, your blood, tumor, cells, fibrous tissue, or any combination of this. So yun yung ating interstitial disease. So kapag nagkaroon ng opacification, because nafe-fill siya ng water, blood, tumor, fibrous tissue, and so on. So this is an example of the normal lung again, and this is the example of your interstitial disease. So again, the vascular structures, dapat dito lang siya prominent sa ating medial and up to here. Okay? But in the area of the peripheral, dapat almost absent na yang linear opacities na yan. So in this normal chest radiograph, the visible interstitium is the branching pulmonary vessels. The branching disappears peripherally because they are beyond the resolution of the X-ray. But if in case that you still see the linear densities in the area, in the peripheral region, you can call for an interstitial disease. Okay? So again, your interstitium, nandun siya sa area ng periphery. That's why sa ating interstitial disease, doon din natin hahanapin yung ating opacification or densities like in this area. So we have patterns of interstitial disease. So ito yung usually mababasa natin sa mga X-ray report. We have there your reticular, linear, nodular, reticulonodular. Okay? So these are your usual patterns of interstitial disease. So mahirap siyang ma-differentiate at your level basta you know that these are the patterns of your interstitial disease. So let's differentiate or discuss it one by one. So for the reticular, it is results from the summation or superimposition of irregular linear opacities. The term reticular is defined as meshed or in the form of a network. And we have three classes of reticular. We have the fine, medium, and coarse. So ang differences nila sa sizes. Kapag fine, it is 1 to 2 millimeters of intervening lucent spaces seen in your pulmonary edema and interstitial pneumonitis. That's your fine or reticular or ground glass pattern. Okay, nakikita siya sa interstitial pulmonary edema and interstitial pneumonitis. Yung medium reticulation or honeycombing, it is 3 to 10 millimeters seen in your pulmonary interstitial fibrosis. So please take note of the disease process in each pattern, okay? And in your coarse coarse reticular pattern, this one is 1 centimeter, seen in your Langerhans cell histiocytosis of the lung, sarcoidosis, and idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Okay, so again, please take note of the disease in each pattern. So this is an example of your reticular. This is a mesh or form of network. So ito yung appearance niya. Then next is the reticulonodular. It may be produced by overlap of reticular shadow or presence of both nodular and reticular opacities. Okay, combination siya ng reticular and nodular. In this pattern, you will see you will appreciate or see it in the silicosis, sarcoidosis, and lymphangitic carcinomatosis. Okay, so this is our reticulonodular. And then primary lung cancer with lymphangitic spread. So this is how your lymphangitic spread is demonstrated. So the lower zone of the left lung shows a coarse reticulonodular pattern. Compare the appearance of the lower zone of the left lung with an earlier chest X-ray on the same patient. So there is reticulonodular pattern. Okay, so this is how they looks like in your CT scan axial view in cases of primary lung cancer with lymphangitic spread. Next is the nodular. This one naman, meron tayong miliary, micronodules, nodules, and masses. So kapag nodular, it is a homogeneous, well-defined, small rounded lesions within the pulmonary interstitium. So it is described as a miliary if it's less than 2 millimeters, micronodules if it is 2 to 7 millimeters, and nodules if it is 7 to 30 millimeters, and if it's more than 30 millimeters or more than 3 cm, it is called as a mass. Okay? Kapag mga maliliit lang hanggang less than 30 millimeters or less than 3 cm, nodules lang siya. But kapag more than 3 na, mass na siya. Okay, so this is a micronodular or miliary. So this is an example, no? Sobrang liliit, less than 2 mm of your nodules scattered in both lung parenchyma. Okay, so this is an example of your miliary nodules or miliary TB. Okay, millet seeds appearance. So this is your nodular miliary nodules. And in CT scan, this is your coronal CT scan and eggshell. So as you can see in here, it is really scattered in both lungs. Miliary nodules in both lung parenchyma. Okay, so next is the linear opacities. It is thickened eggshell or peripheral interstitium of the lung. Again, interstitium, nandun na tayo sa periphery. It is a parallel linear opacities radiating from the hyla, okay, from the inner lung zone when visualized in depth. And then peribronchial coughing when visualized end on. So that's the area of that's an example of your linear pattern. So here, a linear pattern is seen when there's thickening of the interlobular septa, producing curly A and curly B lines. So that's your curly A and curly B lines. And the most common cause of interlobular septal thickening producing curly A and B lines is your pulmonary edema. Okay, so your curly A and curly B lines is usually seen in your pulmonary edema. Next is the nodules and masses. So it is surrounded opacities within the lung measuring less than 3 centimeters. That's your nodule. If the structure is larger than 3 centimeters or 30 mm, it is described as a mass. Okay, so this is an example of your PH chest X-ray and lateral showing you cotton wool appearance. So kapag nakita natin yan sa ating chest X-ray, most probably this is your lung metastasis. Okay, so kapag may known primary ang patient, so we can consider this as your lung metastasis. Yan ang itsura ng ating metastasis sa ating lung X-ray, chest X-ray. Okay, cotton wool appearance, bilog-bilog, parang mga cotton, of course, cotton wool. Okay, so this is an example of your lung mets. Kapag more than 3 cm, mass na siya. Kapag less than, nodules lang siya. Then next is your pulmonary lucency. So we're done with the opacities, yung increased lung density, that's your opacity, and decreased lung density is your lucency. So this is another disease, another group of diseases in your pulmonary. So abnormal lucency of the lung may be localized or diffuse. So the diffuse lung lucency may be unilateral or bilateral. So in your unilateral lucency, it results in decrease in blood flow to the lung. Of course, nagkaroon ng lucency, so it results in decrease in blood flow. There's hypoplasia of the right or left pulmonary artery, kaya siguro may unilateral lucency. And then lobar resection or atelectasis also produce your unilateral lucency. Pulmonary arterial obstruction in Swyer-James syndrome and emphysema, which is the most common with severe bullous disease. So as you can see in here in the right lung, there is increased decreased lung density in the right. This is your unilateral lucency. So in this area, in the left naman, then after you CT scan, axial view, so here's the area of your lucency in the left lung, in axial view. And then we also have the bilateral hyperlucent lungs. It may be simulated by an overpenetrated film or by a thin patient. So minsan hyperlucent lang yung lungs kasi nasunog yung X-ray. Parang payat yung patient pero na-overfactor. So nasunog yung X-ray niya. So that's a technical problem. But your bilateral hyperlucent lungs will also seen in diminished pulmonary blood flow, like what I said in your unilateral, merong diminished pulmonary blood flow, pwedeng merong hypoplasia of the pulmonary artery. And then it is also seen in congenital pulmonary stenosis, pulmonary emphysema, and asthma. Okay, so yung ating patients with asthma, they usually present with bilateral hyperlucent lungs. So this is an example of your hyperlucent lungs, bilateral, right and left. Okay, so it may be a result of decreased blood flow, pulmonary stenosis, hypoplasia of the pulmonary artery, or sometimes asthma. The patient is asthmatic. Okay, that's why they will present with bilateral hyperlucent lungs. And then the last part is the focal radiolucent lesions. So these are your cavities, cysts, bulla, blebs, and pneumatocysts. So they have differences. Okay, so the focal radiolucent lesion. So focal, ibig sabihin, nandun lang siya. So that specific part. Focal, localized. Okay, so cavities, cysts, bulla, blebs, and pneumatocysts. First is your cavities. So it is formed when a pulmonary mass undergoes necrosis and communicates with an airway. So it will produce cavities. The wall is usually irregular or lobulated. Okay, the wall is greater than 1 mm, like this one. Thicker yung wall niya. Ito yung wall ng cavity. Thicker siya. The lung abscess and necrotic neoplasm are the most common cavitary pulmonary lesions. Okay, so this is an example of your cavity in the lung parenchyma. Again, the wall is greater than 1 millimeter thick. So here is an example of your cavity in the right upper lobe and also in here. Okay, as you can see, there is irregular margin. Okay, and then the wall is thick, more than 1 mm. So this is an example of your cavity. And then next is the abscess sa right ulit. Okay, this is the area of your, mukhang nasa right upper lobe yung abscess. Like your cavity, thick wall din siya. Makapal yung wall niya. Okay, so how will you differentiate the abscess and your cavity? So I think you will request for a CT scan for this to know, for this to evaluate if this is really a cavity or abscess. Because a CT scan, post-contrast, the abscess will have enhancement of the periphery. Okay, so that's the time you will differentiate it from your cavity. So in the axial CT scan, this is the area of your abscess. There's air and fluid leveling in here. Okay, so this is an example of your abscess. Same sila ng cavity, merong thick wall. Then next is the air cyst. This one naman, the causes of cystic lung lucencies, cystic lung disease. The majority of adults with cystic lung disease have one of 4 underlying diseases. Either lymphangiomyomatosis, pulmonary Langerhans histiocytosis, and lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. These are sacs of tissue filled with air. Okay? Makikita nyo, hindi lang siya isang sac. There are 3 sacs filled with air. They are well circumscribed intrapulmonary gas collection, smooth thin wall with more than 1 millimeter thick. Yung wall nila, more than 1 millimeter. But it is smooth. You can delineate the wall. This is an example of your air cyst. This is your axial CT scan, and this is your coronal. And this is your X-ray. This is a pediatric patient presenting with air cyst. Then next is the bulla. It is also a gas collection within the pulmonary parenchyma with more than 1 centimeter in diameter, yung measurement ng bulla, and has thin wall of less than 1 millimeter thick. Kung yung ating air cyst, mas thick yung kanyang wall, yung bulla natin, thinner yung wall niya. Yun yung difference niya. That's less than 1 millimeter thick. And yung diameter niya, more than 1 cm. It is the diameter yung sukat ng buong bulla. It represents a focal area of parenchymal destruction, especially emphysema. Okay, again, thin wall, more than 1 centimeter in diameter. It is a gas collection like your air cyst. Ang pinagkaiba nila is yung wall. Okay, thick wall ang ating air cyst than your bulla. Then, this is your CT scan coronal view, example of your bulla, thin wall, more than 1 centimeter in diameter. And your axial view, this is your example of your bulla. And then next is the bleb. So the bleb is also a gas collection of gas. Less than 1 centimeter naman siya. Kapag more than 1 cm, bulla. Kapag less than 1 cm diameter, bleb. sites within the layers of the visceral pleura, usually found in the apical portion of the lung. It is not seen on plain radiographs but may be visualized on chest CT scan. So it is smaller than your bulla. It is less than 1 cm. That's why it is not usually seen in your x-ray, but if you do CT scan, you will see it. Okay? And the rupture of the bleb can lead to spontaneous pneumothorax. So, sino ba yung mga nagkakaroon ng bleb? Yun yung mga patient with chronic lung disease. So, nagpo-produce ng bleb. Kapag nag-rupture yan, it will produce spontaneous pneumothorax. So, sasabihin, bakit nag-pneumothorax yung patient? Wala namang trauma or so whatever, walang history ng trauma. But if the patient has chronic lung disease and then nagkaroon ng pneumothorax, usually nag-rupture yung bleb. Okay? So this is an example of your bleb. In your CT scan, in your X-ray, parang halos hindi mo makikita or ma-appreciate yung bleb. But if you do CT scan, that's the area of the bleb formation. So rupture of the bleb will produce spontaneous pneumothorax. Okay, so again, yung bleb smaller siya than the bulla. Okay, kapag less than 1 cm bleb yun, kapag more than bulla na siya. Okay, and then the last is the pneumatocyst. So this is also a gas-containing structure, thin-walled din siya. And it represents distended air spaces distal to a check valve obstruction of a bronchus or bronchiole. So it is most commonly secondary to your staphylococcal infection naman, yung ating pneumatocyst. Thin-walled, gas-containing din siya. So for you to differentiate this gas-filled, gas-containing structures in the pulmonary, so you will ask the patient or the history of the patient. It will help you a lot. Okay, so this is the last slide for this lecture. Do you have any question for this lecture? Any question?